This LoreHound.com video is brought to you by...
Number 1, read the line.
You will behold the glory of my sacred wood.
That's not him.
Okay. Number 2, read the line.
You will behold the glory of my sacred wood.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Number 3.
You will behold the glory of my sacred wood.
That's him.
Every year, 1 in 5 gamers is accosted by an elf. We're tired of elves.
Where am I? What happened? You were injured when the elemental exploded. Captain Thackeray brought you here personally. You've been unconscious for 3 days. You had lots of visitors.
So this is an example of where the story's branching. So this conversation is very different depending on what you chose in your biography. So, for example, we chose to be commoners. So we have your friends Andrew and Petra who own the bar in sort of your local tavern. If we'd chosen to be nobles, we'd have our noble friend Lord Farron who came to visit us, and if we'd chosen to be from the streets, then we have our shady friend Quinn who came to visit. And then what happens next after this in the story is very, very different depending on which of those scenarios we chose. So whenever we finish part of our story, we get to rewarded for it, so we can choose a reward there. And Elijah leveled up. So now he'll get to put some points into some attributes, and he can come in and take a look at his journal. So, for example, the journal is written in very first person. It will record everything that you do in your story, and you can also check and see what you're supposed to do next as well. So we're going to talk to Watchman Rebick, and Watchman Rebick is an interesting NPC. He's part of what we call our scout system. And our scout system came about due to some difficulties we had with our dynamic event system, and I'll explain a little bit how that works.
The fields around Shaymore are Kryta's breadbasket. We all work hard to get what we need, but it's dangerous when bandits and even the wildlife have it out for you. We welcome any help you could give.
So we found with our dynamic event system, because of its kind of very nature, it's not easy for people to know exactly where they need to go in order to experience stuff. It's not like another MMO where there are a bunch of guys standing around with bangs over their heads and they don't move and they're always there. Dynamic events kind of change and are at different places at different times in the world. And so for players with a really strong explorer drive, that's actually fantastic because they get to go out and explore and run into new situations and things like that. For players who need a little bit more direction, we have our scout system. And so what we see is that there are different people out in the valley who need help, and when we go out there,
hurry! Kill it before someone gets eaten!
Apparently there's a broodmother out rampaging, a Drake broodmother, which is a boss event. So we might actually go down and see that. But our scout system is a system where you'll go out and you'll go find NPCs, and there are things that you can just do around there. They're not quests, but they're little interactions. So you might be able to feed Farmer Daya's cows, or help water her fields, or take care of some of the pests in her fields, that sort of thing. And then as you do that, she will start appreciating you more and more, and that heart will fill up, and then it'll be complete, and you can move on to the next one. And while you're out doing that, you'll find you'll run into a lot of dynamic events, like this one, for example. There's a rampaging broodmother here that we can go help fight. So notice there's other players already here fighting it. We don't have to accept a quest for it. We don't have to worry about whether those other players we're kill stealing from them or any of that. We can just join in and help them. And we can do that because of the way the event system works. As more and more players join in, the event will scale. So for boss events, like this one, the broodmother will actually get new abilities, like that tail swipe actually. She gets once a few players are attacking her. And that's so that the difficulty of the encounter is maintained with more players joining it, so that you're not resentful that there are other players there. And then the way that our event credit works is if you are participating in this event, which means we try to gauge whether or not you did more than just stand around or more than just ping it once and run away. we try to gauge whether or not you're really helping, and if you do that, then you get credit for it. And so, you know, there's a bunch of players here. They're not grouped. They're not really, you know, talking to each other very much, but they're playing together and they're coordinating and they're playing together and they're having a cooperative experience. And that's something that we think the way our systems works, it supports that more than a lot of the other games out there do. See, that guy even leveled up after that. So the way our loot works, for example, so the Broodmother can drop a bag, and you know, bags are very cool items and early on in MMOs. And so everybody who got credit for fighting her had a chance to get a bag. It's not that Elijah got the bag and so nobody else did. Everybody gets their own separate role on a creature's loot table if they get credit for hurting it, and everybody can get the cool item from the creature. That's another really important theme. We don't want people to seem like that other players should always be viewed as fellow heroes who are just there to help, and that they're always welcome. So, do we want to go ahead and continue? Yeah. So we can continue our personal story by going into the City of Divinity's Reach. So we've tried to make them places that feel like they're just cool places to hang out. Like they have a lot of life in them. There are a lot of NPCs walking around, a lot of ambient conversations, a lot of really interesting characters to talk to and get to meet, a lot of lore to kind of hunt down and that sort of thing. And then we also have these little activities which are kind of mini games that are, you know, don't require any particular level. This particular one is a shooting gallery, and you can come here and, you know, try for high score, and you can be level 3 and you can be level 80, and it doesn't really matter. You can participate in it no matter what, and it's a good change of pace from the game. It's outside of the normal game's sort of reward structure and play experience, and those sorts of things are scattered all around the city. So for example, there's a bar in this city that's sort of got a perpetual bar brawl going on in it, so you can go in and you know, break chairs over people's heads and break bottles on them and things like that. Good clean fun. And so we're going to head up actually to the upper city right now. This is where the Queen's Palace is, where the Ministry is, where the ruling members of the city meet. And why don't we actually take a look at the size of the city. So we can take a look. So this entire area is all one big persistent city. You can see the path that we've gone on with our little dotted line down there. So it's a pretty massive city. And it's all, as I said, persistent, except for this one area here, which you can see is marked as home. What that area is an instanced area that's the player's home district. So it's a neighborhood where you live. And things that you do in your personal story will affect things that go on in that district. So for example, if you choose to let one character live or die, they would appear there or not there. People know you, they'll react to things that you've done in the world, that sort of thing. So your home district is the place where you can see kind of the cause and effect of things that you do in your story. So we also wanted to come and take a look at the gardens here and talk a little bit about you know, our art. Our art in the game is pretty incredible, and I know we've seen the reaction from a lot of people where they're like, oh, well, I'm going to have a really good system to run this, that sort of thing. So we try to rely on our artists and their skill and, you know, their ability, our art style to make the game beautiful. We don't rely on super stringent system requirements. We haven't released our system requirements yet, but they are fairly low, so we all develop in order to kind of keep ourselves honest, make sure that our game is always runs at those lower requirements. We actually all develop on really low systems, really not powerful systems, and so like the video cards that are in our computers at work are actually not available for sale in stores anymore because they're too old, they're just phased out. And the game runs fine. Like I've had the same computer for, you know, more than 3 years now at work, and the game runs pretty well on it. So players won't have to have a super state-of-the-art rig in order to run it. Of course, if they do have one, then they'll be able to get a lot out of it, but the game will still look really, really pretty on lower system settings. So yeah, so why don't we head over to So this is our fast travel system. So we're going to use a waypoint to head over to our home district. But you can see there are waypoints located all around. Now we have those unlocked for the demo purposes so we can run around the city. But in the game you'll be able to go out, and after you unlock a waypoint you can just travel back to that waypoint from any place that you want to. So there's just a small travel fee, but so any place you visited you can travel back there almost instantly. So we entered our home instance now, and this is where we were talking about before, the story really branches. So if we had chosen to be noble, we'd find that our friend Lord Farron has thrown us this giant party, and there are drinking and nobles gathering and entertainment and all that sort of thing. Had we chosen to be from the streets, we'd find that our shady friend Quinn is in trouble with the gang that you and he used to belong to when you were younger. And since we chose commoner, we come here and we find that the tavern that we hang out at has some shady characters hanging out around it causing trouble.
Come on, sweetness, just one dance. Let's see where it takes us.
Only if you get a job, a haircut, and a clue. Maybe not even.
Hey, watch it! You almost spilled my drink, and I almost had to mop it up with your face.
To work.
So this is where we could continue our story. Obviously we see the green starburst again, so we could talk to Petra and find out what's going on here exactly, and obviously somebody needs to be taught some manners here. So instead we're going to continue on and go to our Char character and see a little bit of sort of higher level play and see how a warrior plays. Okay, so like we said, we're going to go to sort of a mid-ish level area. We're going to be the high 40s, so our level cap is 80, so that's not an endgame area, but it's kind of in the middle. We'll go see what's going on up here. I think Elijah's been talking to them and has heard that.
Need healing.
Okay. So one of our big boss encounters is happening up here. So this is the Shatterer. It's a minion of one of the Elder Dragons, and we talk about the Elder Dragons in the world. So this is not by any means the biggest creature you're going to fight. It's like we said, it's more mid-level. So the Elder Dragons are actually much bigger than this. And again, you'll see it's an event. He was already down here. Elijah he doesn't have to wait now for the thing to reset so that he can join in at the beginning. He can just join in and kind of play with the other players. So so we've got, I think, 30 or 40 different players here playing. You notice Elijah's carrying a bow. And in most games, a warrior with a bow it's just used for pulling or that sort of thing. But we talked a little bit about versatility of our professions with the elementalist. We want our warriors to be very versatile too. And so we want the warrior to be able to switch between roles very easily. So Elijah can equip a bow and be a very good range damage dealer. He's trying to revive this character. That's another thing that we try to do. Any player can revive any other player. You don't need a special skill. You don't need to be a specific profession. You can just walk up to them and revive them. And again, that's to encourage teamwork without requiring specific professions. So one other thing you'll notice is that guy, even though he's down, seemed to be doing stuff. So Elijah, if you want to show us that. So when you die in Guild Wars, actually, you go into this mode called Downed, where you get some skills, and if you're able to defeat an enemy while you're in this mode, well, I don't think throwing rocks at the Shatterer is really going to get you back up, and this guy's down. You can see the Elementalist is actually causing those sort of earthen hands to come up. If you can defeat an enemy while you're like this, then you will rally and you'll get back up. And you see there's a warrior who came over and is going to help Elijah up. So one of the things to note is whenever he swaps weapons, you can see his skill swapping out. So that allows him to change sort of the role that he's going to play in combat. So you notice he's changing between sort of ranged damage dealer and melee damage dealer, and he can go into melee damage dealer when he wants. If he wanted to equip, say, a mace and a shield, he could be a much more defensive character. If he wanted to equip a warhorn, he could be more support oriented. We also have the second 5 set of skills, and those skills are actually slottable by the player whenever they're outside of combat. So Elijah could actually go and try to put them in there now. He can change kind of the role that he's playing on the fly.